Hello everyone, Grandpa Ron here again. Hope you're all well and happy. Today we're going to continue our very basic Bible study and begin our study of the book of Joshua. Now we went through the entire book of Genesis, the entire book of Exodus. We skipped over Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy because it kind of interrupted the historical narrative, the chain. Those three books cover about 40 years when the children of Israel were wandering in the desert. Remember when they came up to the border of the Promised Land, the first time they were afraid to go in and they disobeyed God, and he was upset. He had them wander in the desert until that particular generation of adults passed away. And he has repeated his laws and the Ten Commandments and how he expects the children of Israel to act and live. And now he's brought them back up to the border of the Promised Land. And Moses was able to see the Promised Land. He viewed it from the mountaintop, but the Lord did not let Moses enter the Promised Land because he disobeyed God, and as we say down south, he showed out in front of the children of Israel and did not demonstrate faith in the Lord, and instead was upset with them. Because of that, the Lord said, you're not going to go in. You'll see the land, but you're not going to go into the land. So at that point, Moses passed along some of his authority to Joshua as commanded by the Lord. And so Joshua has been in a position of authority here for a little while, but now Moses has passed away. And that's where we pick up in the book of Joshua. Get into it. Now there's so much you could say about all of these books, but remember, we're trying to keep this basic. People that are just going through the Bible maybe for the first time or haven't gone through in a long time. And so we could spend days just on each chapter of the book. But we're gonna go through here, make it very basic, and move right along. So let's start out in the book of Joshua, verse 1. Now it came about after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, that the Lord spoke to Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' servant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, cross this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, to the sons of Israel. So God is repeating his command that he gave them the first time to go in and take possession of the land. And so Joshua is going to take the reins and lead them into the Promised Land. Remember, the time at which this is occurring is flood time for the Jordan. So it's in flood stage. The Israelites have no boats. They're basically on foot. And so Joshua is exhibiting quite a bit of faith as he gets the children of Israel, as we're going to see here, ready to enter the Promised Land. Verse 3, every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I have given it to you, just as I spoke to Moses. That is, all the places where he treads that God has promised to give him. Verse 4, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and as far as the great sea toward the setting of the sun will be your territory. So he's kind of reiterating the general boundaries of the Promised Land. Verse 5, no man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life, just as you have been with Moses, I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Quite an encouragement from God. Now we don't know if he spoke to Joshua in this case as he did with Moses face to face, or whether it was by some other means, but he communicated clearly to Joshua what he wanted and that he was going to be with him. Verse 6, "Be strong and courageous, for you shall give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to give to them." This promise has gone all the way back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Verse 7, "Only be strong and very courageous. Be careful to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, so that you may have success wherever you go." So being obedient to the law has an impact on his success. Just like we today as Christians, we're saved, we're going to heaven, but if we sin, especially if it's unrepentant sin, and we continue to sin, that has a negative impact on our life here on this planet. It's very hard for God to bless if someone continues to sin. Verse 8, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success." It's a big order to obey the law. And we know that it's impossible for everyone to be perfect and obey the law perfectly. But he's telling Joshua, meditate on the law, and that will strengthen you to carry out the law. And in verse 9, he gives him further encouragement by reminding him again, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Even though you think you may not be able to do it on your own, I'm going to be with you all the way. Verse 10, how's he going to do all this? "Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the midst of the camp and command the people, saying, Prepare provisions for yourselves, for within 3 days you are to cross the Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess it." Now, provisions. Manna is still being provided by the Lord, but remember we studied you couldn't save it. You had to use it all on the day that you gathered it. Except the day before the Sabbath, you could gather enough for the Sabbath, but that was it. So these provisions are coming from the land they're dwelling in right now, grains and meat from animals and things like that. So they've got to get ready to move out. Verse 12, "And to the Reubenites and to the Gadites and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, Remember the word which Moses the servant of the Lord commanded you, saying, The Lord your God gives you rest and will give you this land." We'll pause here. When the children of Israel, in the book of Numbers, when the children of Israel wandered in the desert and finally came back up to the border of the promised land, they were commanded to defeat the Midianites. The Midianites had plotted against God. They were very conniving and sinful. They had had adulterous relations with Israelites, and so God had them wiped out. The 3 tribes that are mentioned here, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, they asked the Lord, can we possess this land that we've cleared of the Midianites? This is on the east side of the Jordan River, where they're now waiting. And Moses, through the Lord, said, yes, you can stay here, but your soldiers have to participate in taking the promised land for your brothers. So your wives and children and the elderly and everything and children, they can stay here in this land of the Midianites that you've now conquered. But you have to participate and cross the Jordan with your brothers to battle to take over the rest of the promised land. And Joshua was reminding them of that right here. Verse 14, your wives, your little ones, your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you beyond the Jordan. But you shall cross before your brothers in battle array, all your valiant warriors, and shall help them, until the Lord gives your brothers rest, that is victory, as he gives you, and they also possess the land which the Lord your God is giving them. Then you shall return to your own land and possess that which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you beyond the Jordan toward the sunrise. In other words, this land on the east side of the Jordan. Verse 16, and they answered Joshua, saying, all that you have commanded us we will do, and wherever you send us we will go. We agree to these terms. Just as we obeyed Moses in all things, so we will obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you, as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against your command and does not obey your words and all that you command him shall be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. So they're saying, yes, we will do it, Joshua, but we expect you to be strong and courageous and follow the Lord. Now we're going to stop there today. We're going to see next time how miraculously they are able to cross the Jordan River, and all through the book of Joshua we're going to see how they fare in this taking of the promised land. Well, I hope this has been interesting and meaningful to you, and I hope you'll watch the next videos. In the meantime, God bless. Bye-bye.